Hey everyone, Dave here from OSG TTV. Hope everyone's having a great day. Say, we've got some new information on a system that you people have been eagerly waiting for, and we didn't honestly know if it was going to be happening. It was released at a show a few months back, and we didn't really get any details about it besides just a 3D printed replica of the system. But more information has finally come out, and I think what we're going to be talking about here tonight is what you've been waiting for, is the A1200 by RetoGames. This is a new system releasing in 2026, full-size working keyboard, all kinds of goodies that we're going to talk about in just a few seconds. All right, Amiga 1200, or as RetoGames calls it, the A1200. Good grief, how are you doing tonight? Glad you could stop by. It was good to see you earlier in some Battlefield 6 online. Sorry I was pretty bad those games when we were playing, but still had a good time, right? So here we are talking about the A1200 being released, if I could talk right, by RetoGames LTD. They have some more information on this system that was announced just a day or two ago, and we're going to pass that on to you here. Let's see, where do we want to start? How about some trailer action? They released a trailer for it. Let's check that out and talk about that. All right, so there you go, a little teaser for the A1200, the Amiga 1200 re-release. If you haven't heard of RetoGames before, they have been releasing all kinds of mini systems over the last handful of years. A couple full-size systems, including the C64 and the Spectrum, and following in those footsteps, we have the A1200, which is a full-size, full keyboard, and according to their post on Facebook, full nostalgia, and we'll be talking about that in just a few minutes. The trailer that they showed us here shows off a few games that are included with it. They do list that they got 25 games releasing on the system. The ability to do save states, it's probably going to work just like their prior consoles that they've got, the C64 Mini, the C64 full size, the A400, which is the Atari 400, right? It's going to probably be the same exact thing. It's going to boot to a carousel. It's going to show you the 25 games. You can boot off of those games, or you can boot off of USB to load up your own games. They're going to have the mouse included with the system. They're going to have the gamepad included with the system once again. And it's pretty much going to look like the Amiga 500 Mini, I'm guessing, but this time full size, designed as a 1200 and not a 500. I kind of would have preferred the 500. The 500 is a little more nostalgic for Amiga users, but the 1200 is loved by many just as well. So why not? Let's go for the 1200 this time. We're going to look at their post on Facebook that they got in just a minute. We're going to look at their post on their webpage, and we're going to see what they are talking about as far as this machine goes. They didn't give a price point in the video, but I think we have that coming up. So we should be able to get that real soon here. And I don't know why my audio is not working for chat, but that's okay. We're going to go with it. And we should be able to work around that here tonight. The big thing I noticed in the video that I want to comment on, it still looks like a 3D rendered version of the Amiga 1200. Here's a pre-packaging. I don't know if this is going to be the official packaging that they're going to be using, but possibly could look at this. You can notice they got the CinemaWare logo on the box, which is awesome, at least for me, because I'm a huge CinemaWare fan. But in the video, when they do the close-ups of like the A1200 tag on the computer and stuff like that, you can kind of tell it's still a 3D rendered image. And they show you like the gamepad controller. They do a little spin around on it, and it still looks kind of 3D modeled on a computer. So I don't think those are finished product pictures by any chance. At least it gives you a good idea of what it's going to look like. They don't really show you the back of it or anything. They don't show you the HDMI ports or how many USB ports are on there. Maybe that'll be in the description that's coming up. I'm not really sure. The one thing I was kind of surprised at, and we'll just keep playing this over and over again while we talk about it, is that in the game selections that they chose for the video, they actually showed off Defender of the Crown. Let me do a quick Google search on this. But they also show Defender of the Crown 2. They showed that sword fighting scene, but then they also show a close-up on the horses. They show a close-up of the horses in the jousting scene coming up here, and that is Defender of the Crown 2. So from what I understand, they're going to be releasing Defender of the Crown and Defender of the Crown 2 on this system, which was released for the Amiga CD32 and the CD-TV console. It wasn't released like on the actual Amiga 500 or the Amiga 1200. So they're kind of going outside the realm of the typical Amiga console games, or the Amiga computer games, which is kind of interesting. Now, like the Amiga 500 Mini, you are able to emulate other systems, the CD32, the 1200, the 500. So it doesn't surprise me. It just surprises me that they're releasing games that are not Amiga 500 or 1200 specific. So I don't know. Let's flip over to the web page here and see what they say about it on Facebook. All right, so here we go. Here is their post on Facebook. This is RetoGames LTD. This was released on October 23rd in the morning hours here. Let's try and zoom up on this a little more. Maybe make the words a little bigger. So here's what they say. The A1200 full size, full keyboard, full nostalgia. The iconic 90s home computer returns reimagined for the players of today. The wait is over. From the creators of the A500 Mini comes the A1200, a full-size recreation of one of the most iconic home computers of the early 1990s, now reborn for the modern era. Developed in conjunction with the I'm going to butcher this, the Payon Reply, one of the world's premier producers of retro hardware and software. I should probably learn how to say that. The A1200 combines meticulous authenticity with modern innovation, offering the definitive revival of a true 90s legend. Following the global success of the A500 Mini, which sold over 100,000 units worldwide, RetoGames has once again captured the magic of a generation raised on floppy disks, pixel art, and late-night gaming marathons. This is the A1200, the machine that powered a decade of imagination, now rebuilt for the 21st century. Back to the 90s and beyond. Plug it in, switch it on, and step straight back into the era when games were bold, colorful, and full of character. The A1200 comes preloaded with 25 legendary titles, including Beneath a Steel Sky, Settlers 2, Lure of the Temptress, Rough and Tumble, Defender of the Crown 1 and 2, and the Turrican Trilogy. That's right, I always forget there's a third game. I always know of 1 and I always look at like 2 as the most popular one, but I always forget there's a 3. Plus many, many more. Every game looks and feels just as you remember, only now with HDMI output, save states, and USB side loading for even more adventures. So there they are confirming we can load more of our games off of USB like we've done before. The ultimate 90s setup. Each A1200 includes a working keyboard, classic style mouse and gamepad, everything you need to dive back into the golden age of 16-bit gaming. Good grief says, very cool. I agree, this is very cool. This was the machine that made the 90s come alive for a generation of players, said Paul Andrews, managing director of RetoGames LTD. With the A1200, we're celebrating that incredible moment in time, the games, the design, the creativity that shaped a generation. Okay, so here we go. Release details, launch date, 16th of June, 2026. Boy, it's only October 2025. That's a long ways out, so that's another 7 months it looks like. Retail, if you're overseas, $149, $189. Is that in Japan? I'm not sure what that is. What's that second one? US dollars, $189. Ooh, that's high. AU $299 includes. That's high. Includes full-size computer, mouse, and gamepad. They should actually list 25 games in there too, instead of just the hardware stuff. Retail listings, 10th of November 2025. So supposedly the pre-orders are coming for the A1200. We'll go ahead and we'll like this because we do like it. And if you go to their website, I think I have their website up here. They have a blob. So if you go to RetoGames website and then you click on news, they do have a link for the A1200, which is here. It's probably more of the same. So available for Pre-order the 10th of November. Step into a time when floppy disks ruled, pixels popped, and imagination had no limits. Let's see if they say anything different. They got the announce video here that we already saw. Just plug it in and power it on to be transported back to a golden age of gaming. They list the same games here that we mentioned. Everything you remember is and more is here with a working keyboard, classic mouse, retro style gamepad. The A1200 makes every session feel like 1992 again. And with the Workbench desktop and USB stick support, you can explore, create, and customize just like you used to. The A1200 just isn't a computer, it's a time machine. Relive the joy, rediscover the magic, reboot the memories. So that is a cool thing. The point that, and I think it was mentioned in the video too, that it's getting released with a full version of Workbench. Workbench is something that is still sold today from what I understand. So if you want Workbench for your Amiga emulator at home, you can still purchase licenses for Workbench to work with your emulator computers. So the fact that they are including it with the A1200 this time around is pretty cool. I'm sure they just jacked the price up another $10 and they're forwarding the money for the licensing onto the appropriate people for that. Let's see if they say anything else here that we've got. Multi-region HDMI launching June 2026. So yes, the A1200 is coming. On the heels of... So let's talk about this. So first thing that I have to comment on is the announce date being October, and then we have the release date not being until June. That's a big chunk of time in there. MPL, what is happening? Hope you're having a great Saturday so far. We were just talking about the Amiga 1200, or the A1200 from RetoGames, which was just announced officially finally a day or two ago. So we were just kind of reading up on that and talking about some of the features. Right now we're talking about the release date, June of 2026, and that's a ways out. A lot of other systems that have been getting released lately kind of have an announce date with a follow-up of release maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 months later, when we're talking these retro systems. For example, the Atari Game Station Go by My Arcade, it was shown a long time ago at some game shows, but the official orders for it and the pre-orders and the release date, there was kind of a 2-month window in there, maybe 3 months, and then I actually should have that in my hands in just a few days from now. But a 7-month lead time, a lot can happen in 7 months. They could easily push that back, if it's not ready to go or something. I mean, RetoGames is really good at getting their product out of the door on time. I don't remember them having any setbacks on any of their releases that I can remember. But being that far out, anything can happen, right? So it's going to release with the A500 mouse, which is probably the same exact mouse we have on the Amiga Mini. It's going to release with the gamepad, which the gamepad is okay. It's had mixed reviews. Some people like it, some people don't. There's also a black version of the gamepad out there that can be picked up. And I'll bring the picture of that up on the screen here. Let's see, where do I have that? Let's go back to this window. So there you can see the controller and the mouse. Like I said, you can buy the controller separately today already for some of their systems, and you can get a black version of it. The controller has had mixed reviews. I myself, you know, it works if you don't have anything else to use, but I like using the actual Atari joysticks, whether they are the real 9-pin CX40 Atari joysticks with a USB adapter, or I like using it's called the CX stick, which is RetoGames release of an Atari joystick. It has all the buttons you need on it to do all their menus and selections. I kind of wish they would release that with the system. The Amiga never had an official joystick or a gamepad with it that released, so to have an option to actually use the CX stick with the A1200, I think is a lot better than the gamepad. The reason they probably do the gamepad with it is because of the other systems that this emulates. So you have like the CD32 and stuff like that does combine gamepad with more buttons. But when you're talking Amiga 500, 1200 era, you know, you still didn't really have gamepads full of a lot of buttons. So I don't know. Jury is out on that one. It's a little pricey here, kids. We're looking at the price here. We're looking at $190. If you have like Amazon, it's going to be $190 shipped. If you're going to get this from a non-Amazon distributor, you're probably going to pay shipping on top of it, so you're going to be looking at like $200. It's nice that they are releasing it in all these different regions. When we picked up the Spectrum that they released, which was a remake of the Spectrum computer, that only released overseas in Europe, so I had to go on Amazon UK and order one of those things and have it shipped over here to the States. They never had a US release for that, and I'm really kind of shocked by that. You know, it's a very decent machine, very good quality, full working keyboard, rubber keys and everything, and they very down to the detail mimicked the Spectrum computer, and I can't believe they didn't bring that out overseas here in the States. Maybe a licensing issue of some kind, I don't know, but it's nice to see that it's going to be released. You know, I don't know if I should call this globally, but not just in one region. Let's say that, right? I don't have a lot of experience with the Amiga 1200. I was more of an Amiga 500 guy, so as far as the look and feel of the computer goes, you know, it's not something that's nostalgic to me because I never had a 1200. For my taste personally, I wish they would have released the Amiga 500, which is a really big machine though. I mean, it takes up like a lot of your desktop, so I guess there's some trade-off. Maybe this one's a little smaller. It's probably a little bigger than the Commodore 64 as far as real estate on your desk. But looking forward to this. Can't wait to see some. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that get some early reviews of this and get some information out there for us. They don't really talk about how many USB ports or anything on the back. I'm going to guess it's like the Amiga 500 Mini. You probably have 3 USB ports, which would be good for your mouse, your gamepad, and a USB stick to load more games on, right? Once again, it is released with Workbench, with a license of Workbench, so that's kind of cool. That's something we didn't get with the Amiga 500 Mini. So I wonder how that's going to work, if Workbench is going to be like a title on the carousel that you can load up, or if it's going to be something in the game options. They talk about screen scaling options and CRT filter there in the video. So it's probably going to have your standard different screen ratios that they have on the 500 Mini, right? I don't know. What do you think? Do we have any other Amiga people here besides me? Good grief, MPL Live. You guys have any experience with the Commodore Amiga computers? I've got a kind of extensive history with Commodore. I started with the Commodore 16. I never really had a VIC-20. I knew someone that had a VIC-20. Used the Commodore 16, and then I upgraded to the Commodore 64. And then at school we used some Commodore computers for typing. And then I moved into the Amiga 500 later in my teen years. It was like when I was like 18 or something like that, I think 18 or 19. And I love the Amiga just as much as I loved the Commodore 64. So many good games. You know, they used the 3.5-inch floppy disks, you know, so it had a little disk drive built into it on the right side. Just to hear that disk clicking, I know when you use emulators and things like that, it can emulate that sound of that disk clicking on there. And I wonder if they're going to do anything like that on this system. That would be something new. You'd think they would bring something a little new to this system. But we'll have to wait and see. A little limited in information here so far. But then again, we got 7 months to go, so. Not played one myself. Well, maybe you'll get a chance when this stuff comes out. So, that's all I really have to share about the A1200 at this point. So like I said, this was info just put out a couple days ago by RetoGames. We'll be cross-posting this, you know, on both YouTube and Twitch. So, you know, if you got comments, if you're an Amiga user yourself, you know, leave some comments on YouTube and let me know what you think about this. If you're interested or not interested. I think what the big seller is on this one is the full-size keyboard, right? It's nice using the mini systems, but when you don't have a keyboard to use and you have to plug in a keyboard just to access some of that stuff, that kind of takes some of the fun away from using it. So, $190 just to get a keyboard on your Amiga emulator box? I don't know. We'll see. I got a weird feeling I'm going to get sucked into it, but maybe I'll resist. Who knows? I'm sure. What am I talking about? I'm not going to be able to resist. All right, kids, I'm out of here for the night. As soon as we have more information on the A1200, pictures, videos, reports of details of the hardware, we'll let you know. But that's all we got for tonight. If you love retro gaming, make sure to join our stream over on Twitch. That is our primary site with our normal stream going on almost every day, every other day. I'm starting to post some more videos out on YouTube, our little sister channel out on YouTube for OSG TTV. Gonna do more product reviews out there, game playthroughs, not as much of the day-to-day streams out there for that. You'll want to head over to Twitch, but yeah, we're gonna try and get a little presence going on YouTube as well. So hope to see you guys later. Good grief. Have a good evening, MPL Live. Have a great one as well. And we'll talk to everyone real soon. Have a good night.